The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. Henry David Thoreau said this, and it's still true. Stick around for 9 tips to help you stop impulse buying and save money for your true life priorities. Welcome, I'm Amy, and here at Frugal Over 50, I give you tips and tools for frugal living. Let's get right to these tips. Number 1, get honest. Acknowledge that you have a problem with overbuying, overshopping, impulse buying, whatever it is that you want to call it. I had to acknowledge this to myself, and I still struggle with it several years into my frugal living journey. This is not a situation where you can just say, oh yeah, I think I have a little impulse buying problem. That's not what I mean when I say get honest. What I'm asking you to do is look carefully and intently at your own life and acknowledge the fact that you are overspending. If you are not overspending, but you have a history of having overspent or overbought or impulse buying in the past, tell us down below in the comments what it was that helped you finally get honest with yourself about what you were doing. One of the things that makes it really hard to get honest is that as soon as we start to feel uncomfortable, we want to go shop again. We want to go buy more things. And unfortunately, that uncomfortable impulse is the one that we need to lean into when we're really getting honest. I know I had to do it, and you can do it too. Get honest. Number 2, know where and how you tend to overshop. It's not enough just to say, oh yeah, I got a little problem. Think about this. Where is it that you can't resist temptation? What form of shopping is it that really gets you? Some people can walk into a store and be fine, but as soon as they go shopping online, they're impulse buying all over the place. For other people, it's reversed. For some folks, it's a particular store or a particular set of stores or a particular mall, and there is just no resisting temptation when you're there. And it's important, along with getting honest generally about the fact that you have an impulse buying issue, to acknowledge that there are certain situations where you're just going to impulse buy. If you want some help on how to shop frugally in general, I have a great video for you on grocery shopping tips that you can apply not just to groceries, but to everything, because we do live in a consumer society and we do have to go out and buy things. And so it's tricky to find that balance between buying what we need and just overbuying and impulse buying. And that leads us to the next tip. Know what you tend to impulse buy. A lot of women tend to impulse buy makeup, which can be really expensive really fast if you're buying one of those $50 eyeshadow palettes, for instance, and then another one comes along next month and it's all the rage. Well, that's really a lot of money out of your wallet without you having done anything except swipe some color on your eyelids. So think about what it is that you tend to overbuy. It's easy for me to talk about makeup palettes because I don't tend to buy those. What I tend to overbuy is food, and this is for a variety of reasons, but one of them is because I want to treat myself. I'm at the grocery store. I could buy a big jug of salsa, which tastes perfectly delicious, or I could buy this small container of fancy salsa with the pretty title on it, which is the same price as the big jug. And then I've spent more money. It's an impulse, and I don't have as much salsa as I need or want. I'm a big fan of salsa, can you tell? There may be other things that come to mind for you. What is it that you tend to overbuy? And you're like, why did I buy that? Tell me down below in the comments. Next, you have to discover why is it that you are impulse buying? What is it that is bringing about the need to impulse buy? Because it is a need. There is some need in our lives that's going unaddressed. And that is why we go shopping. For me, it was really a scarcity mindset. My family, when I was growing up, always had enough food, but it wasn't fancy, and there were always some worries about money. And so when I got a regular job well into my adulthood, I would go to the store and just buy things because I really thought, what if my paycheck doesn't come 2 weeks from now? And this is the last chance I have to buy this. Well, after a couple of years of doing that, I had overbought and I had put myself into consumer debt, and I still had the job, but I was having to use my paychecks to pay past me for the impulse buying that she did because she was worried about not having the paycheck. This is a really tough one for those of us who grew up with inconsistent income or poverty or a scarcity mindset. And I think it's worth acknowledging these reasons, because the fact is that overbuying and overshopping on impulse isn't going to fix that sense of insecurity that we have. We have to come into ourselves, acknowledge where we have come from, give tribute to those who raised us, or acknowledge the pain that we have lived through and may still be living through to some degree. And we have to acknowledge that impulse buying is just not going to be the solution, but the solution is going to be a little bit more long-term, and we have to commit to understanding Why is it? Why is it that we are impulse buying? If you're getting value out of this video, it won't cost you any impulse purchasing to give it a like, and I'd love to invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you'd like to contribute to the growth of the channel, click the link below for Buy Me a Coffee, and you can do a one-time contribution or become a monthly member. Let's get back to these tips. Number 5, budget. I talk about it here all the time. I love and use You Need a Budget. There's a link for 34 days free down below, and I have a budgeting series, a playlist that I'd love to have you go and watch, all about how I use You Need a Budget and other aspects of budgeting that are going to really help you if you are struggling with impulse buying. Whether that is a new impulse brought about by the events of the last year and a half, or whether it is a lifelong struggle, anything that you can do to identify what you are spending, to identify where you are spending, and then to plan forward for your spending is going to help you. And a budget is really the best way to do that. It helps you look back over the last period, week, month, whatever, and identify what you have spent. It helps you to look forward and identify what you have coming that you are responsible to spend. And it helps you look ahead and set your true life priorities so that you can get out of this feeling of the hamster wheel of feeling bad and then spending and then feeling bad and then spending and then feeling bad and then spending. A budget will be your friend, and it will walk you carefully and in a friendly and helpful manner into your future. Number 6, plan your schedule for success. It is not willpower that is going to keep you from impulse buying. Trust me when I tell you that it is not a battle of willpower versus impulse buying that keeps me from impulse buying most of the time. It's got nothing to do with willpower. It has to do with how you structure your life. Think about this. If you decided to paint a wall, but all you had was the wallpaper, that wall is going to fall down because it's just made out of paper. That's a ridiculous example, but it's really an example of what we're trying to do when we try to do willpower to defeat anything. We're trying to paint over wallpaper without having a wall behind it. In fact, those of you who love to do house building would argue with me and say, no, you have to prepare the ground and then lay the foundation and then you can start building the walls. And you would be absolutely correct. What this means is that you need to set up the structure of your life so that you avoid temptation. Don't go to the store where they have the fancy salsa, Amy. I've switched where I do my shopping so that the majority of my time I don't even have the option to buy that silly small bottle of salsa, and I just get the big jug, which is wonderful, and I don't miss it. What are the places that you need to restructure your life? What stores can't you go to? What online shopping environments do you need to do something different? You've heard the saying about walking down the street and falling into a hole, and then walking down the street and falling into a hole again, and walking down the street and falling into the hole again, and then walking down the street and easing your way carefully around the hole, and then one day you're like, I'm just gonna go down a different street. That's what I'm talking about here, folks. What is your different street? Structure your life so that you can have success. One of the ways you can structure your life is number 7, set a goal. With all the money that you are not going to be using for impulse purchases, what are you going to do? You could set a goal to save money during our Community Savings Challenge. We're having one right now if you're watching at the time that this video is released, and I'm sure we'll be doing more in the future, so join a savings challenge. You might have a goal to save more for retirement. You might have a goal to pay down some debt. You might have a goal to do a low buy or a no buy month or even year. What is your goal? What are you going to do with all of your time and all of the money that you're not using for impulse purchases? If you need a little help with this, I have a whole series on saving money that I'd love to have you go and watch. Lots of great tips. And also, number 8, get support. Don't do this alone. Don't white knuckle your way through. It's tough. Find community here on the channel. We are a lovely, supportive, and encouraging group of people. Find friends in real life who truly support your goals, who understand what you're doing, and who can maybe share some of those goals. But don't do it alone. Get support. And number 9, possibly the most important, try again. This is not going to be a one and done thing. You will not watch this video and say, aha, my problems have been solved. My life is brand new. All is wonderful. That's not how it goes, folks. You make a decision, you try it, it doesn't work. You make another decision, you try it, it sort of works, and you revise it. You make another decision, and you wake up another day, and you try again, and you try again, and you try again. There's no such thing as failure in this situation. As long as you are trying, as long as you have these steps in mind, And as long as you acknowledge what's working, what's not working, and you just keep going, you can do this. And remember what Henry David Thoreau said, the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. How much of your life do you want to exchange for impulse buying? I hope that that amount gets less and less and less, and that your sense of joy and your sense of abundance gets more and more and more. Wherever you are on your frugal living journey, take the next step, whatever that next step is for you, and know that you are not alone, and I am so proud of you. Live frugally, change your life, and together we will change the world. I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye-bye.